Good afternoon. It's so good to be with you today. My name is Kelly Otter. I'm the Dean of the School of Continuing Studies at Georgetown University. And I'm very honored to have been invited to join you today to participate in this forum about international branch campuses. And I hope to make some small contribution to your study about these new ventures for your country. I was invited here a couple of years ago by Dean Borai to make some presentations to her staff and faculty, and I fell in love with Egypt and I fell in love with AUC, so it's just really wonderful to be back here. At Georgetown University, this past year and this last election have required us to again accept the responsibility to bring the resources of our university into engagement with the challenges in our nation and in the world. In the words of Georgetown President John DeGioia, our universities serve our nation in singular ways. No other institution performs the role that universities do in providing the foundation for our common life together. And for Georgetown, we accept the responsibility that education imparted in Jesuit schools will be equal to the demands of justice in the world. People are not the same as their governance. To educate is an act in the interest of the common good toward social justice. And it is in that spirit that Georgetown is with you today. So in order to launch and sustain Georgetown University Qatar, Georgetown has had to answer a number of questions concerning the identity of the campus, its curriculum and faculty, as well as the administrative arrangements underpinning its operations. My presentation looks at the lessons learned from answering those questions and from the discussions in which Georgetown continues to engage concerning the future direction of the campus. My hope is these lessons may help inform the conversations taking place today regarding your own branch campus initiatives. Georgetown launched a branch campus, actually strictly speaking an additional location in reference to Jason's talk earlier. We launched this in Doha, Qatar in 2005 as one of 6 US institutions that eventually became part of the broader Education City initiative sponsored by the Qatar Foundation. Delivering the School of Foreign Service Bachelor of Science of Foreign Service degree, the campus first graduated its class in 2009 of 21 students. We've subsequently grown to 247 students, 45 full-time faculty, as well as about 100 staff. In 2015, we and the foundation signed a second 10-year agreement, and the university continues to explore opportunities to expand its scope of degree as well as non-degree offerings. The Middle States Commission of Higher Education, Georgetown's accrediting body, defines a branch campus and additional location as the following. An additional location is a domestic or international location other than a branch campus that is geographically apart from the primary main campus, and at which the institution offers at least 50% of the requirements of an educational program. In contrast, a branch campus is a domestic or international location of an institution that is geographically apart, independent of the primary main campus. The branch campus is considered independent of the main campus if it is permanent in nature, offers courses and educational programs leading to a degree, certificate, or other recognized educational credential, has its own faculty and administrative or supervisory organization, and has its own budgetary and hiring authority. So for accrediting purposes, Georgetown University Qatar is considered an additional location. GUQ is not incorporated or registered in Qatar. The decision for a home institution to establish a presence abroad requires a clearly defined rationale that outlines the purpose behind the branch campus. Sometimes the host country and the home institution have different reasons for establishing a branch campus. Will it generate revenue? Will it be a means of expanding the global presence of the home institution? Will it be a means for elevating the international profile of the home institution? Will it leverage and build upon the home institution's curricular expertise and strengths? Will it be a means of upgrading higher education and standards in the home country? Will it give host country students access to U.S. higher education? Now, even if there is a clearly identified rationale for establishing the new branch campus or instructional site, we have learned that this rationale can change or be modified over time. This modification can be the result of changing priorities on the part of the home institution as well as the host government. GUQ, for example, was initially created to give Qatari students access to US-style undergraduate education, and it looked to GUQ to deliver only the Bachelor of Science in Foreign Service. Over time, however, Qatar Foundation has urged Georgetown to, 1, broaden the scope and number of its educational offerings, and 2, include graduate and professional education. Georgetown, in turn, has come to realize that other academic units at the university, besides the School of Foreign Service, can be part of the academic mission of the campus. So my school, the School of Continuing Studies, and also the McDonough School of Business, have a number of degree programs of interest to parties in the region and have the capacity to deepen the academic footprint of the campus. In addition, the School of Continuing Studies and GUQ's Office of Executive and Professional Education have expanded outreach to much different audiences reached through the undergraduate program. These audiences, composed of adult and/or professional learners, are often interested in graduate professional degrees, non-degrees, or other kinds of custom professional executive education for career advancement and professional development. So this is the primary reason why I am here today, because most of the new initiatives coming out of the campus in Doha are in the graduate professional space. So my portfolio has about 17 graduate professional programs ranging from urban and regional planning, strategic communications, applied intelligence, the list goes on. And we enroll 2,700 students at that level, 7,500 students non-degree at the professional and executive level. And what we're aiming to do is to support Qatar's 2030 vision for workforce and economic development by aligning our expertise with the needs of that particular region. So my counterpart over in GUQ, a senior associate dean, who's also the COO of the campus, has created an office with a number of staff to build out business development and new program development. We have partnered with the Qatar Tourism Authority. We have partnered with the Jasur Institute to offer sports industry management programs, helping to prepare Qatar for the 22 World Cup, help them build a workforce from within the country. And we've also offered a brand new degree in emergency and disaster management focused on the needs of the region. We launched it out of Doha. We're doing intensive residencies in Oman and in Washington, D.C. And this was a collaboration with the GCC Emergency Management Center. How GUQ goes about expanding its programming has posed new questions concerning the mission of the Qatar operation and has offered new administrative challenges. The existing agreement between GU and Qatar Foundation, for example, has language regarding right of first refusal and exclusivity that affects the university's ability to launch new programs, not just in Qatar, but in the MENA region generally. The same stipulations affect Georgetown's ability to open new offices or campuses elsewhere in the region. We've also learned over time that the higher education environment within Qatar can change, which in turn requires adjustments to how we operate within the country. Qatar Foundation has increasingly urged Georgetown and other U.S. universities in Doha to identify new ways to collaborate among themselves, whether in terms of programs offered or through shared administrative services. Also, a number of new educational institutions have emerged. While Qatar University, the country's public university, existed before GUQ, entities such as Hamad bin Khalifa University, HBKU, as well as the Doha Institute for Graduate Studies are now part of the higher education landscape in Doha. The existence of these institutions means that GUQ must now factor the educational mission of these new players when we think about launching new degree or non-degree programs, especially at the graduate level. The Doha Institute, for example, through its School of Social Sciences and Humanities, is offering programs of study in history, politics, international relations, media and cultural studies, as well as journalism. Finally, in addition to the creation of these new institutions, there is renewed emphasis placed on identifying ways that GUQ can collaborate with Qatar University. The question, who is in control, can and has been answered in a variety of ways. On the broadest level, Georgetown University's president, as directed by the board of directors, has overall authority for the campus, including setting its strategic direction. In addition, a joint advisory board, what we call the JAB, has been created to provide guidance to the campus and its operations. The JAB is composed of 10 members, 3 appointed by the Qataris, 3 appointed by Georgetown, 2 jointly appointed, and 2 ex officio. They meet on a semi-annual basis. Each voting member is appointed for 3-year terms and may be reappointed for an additional 3-year term. While most day-to-day operations of the campus fall within the purview of the dean of GUQ, we have learned that there are other questions that require input from and coordination with a number of entities on the home campus, with authority ultimately resting with the provost. These include whether or not new programs should be offered on the Qatar campus, whether or not Georgetown can or should open up another campus in the region, what programs can be offered elsewhere, and the parameters of how different colleges cooperate in initiatives at that location. We've also learned that articulating an identity for the Doha campus must in many respects be an international activity, that simply being an academic unit of the university will not make Doha Georgetown. University and campus leaders decided to reinforce the GU identity by changing it from School of Foreign Service Qatar to Georgetown University Qatar, and also by replicating some key ceremonies in Doha. New student convocation in the fall and commencement in the spring. These are absolutely critical. To ensure that the Doha version of each ceremony mirrored those on main campus, Doha has worked closely with the university's registrar, who has responsibility for the university's academic ceremonies, to plan and execute these ceremonies. Commencement invariably has a high level of DC leadership presence, including the president, provost, and School of Foreign Service dean, reflecting the fact that the degree is granted by Georgetown University, not the local campus. While campus personnel and those of the home institution are part of the same university, the potential for misunderstanding and faulty communication between the 2 locations is considerable. The physical distance, differences in time zones, different local contexts, and sometimes differing priorities can create situations where the 2 locations miscommunicate or misunderstand each other. In addition, multiple offices at the home institution might have their own interest in and involvement with the new site, or have priorities that differ from those for other offices or parts of the home institution. This, in turn, can often lead the home institution sending mixed messages or conflicting signals. So the need for regular, frank, and consistent communication between the new site and home institution is of paramount importance. Such communication is necessary both to maintain the smooth operation and to address new questions or issues as they arise. Such communication should take place in multiple forms: regular conference calls, frequent visits, campus personnel to the home campus and home campus leadership to the new site, and regular written and shared reports. A structure of regular convening of all of those offices on the home campus that work with the international site to assure coordinated and a coherent approach would be incredibly useful. Moreover, this communication needs to be memorialized in some fashion. Summaries of conversations, copies of correspondence and emails, so that there is a record of decisions made and follow-up that is required, and a clear delineation of responsibility for any project or initiative. Finally, it's essential that this communication engage all relevant parties at the new site and the home institution, so there can be agreement on and understanding of institutional priorities, as well as agreed upon courses of action. In our initial years, university leaders thought that the majority of our classes would be taught by senior members of the tenured faculty from the main campus. That was the original idea. And these faculty would rotate in and out on a regular basis. But it quickly became apparent that it was difficult to recruit such faculty. Many had academic obligations mitigating against a regular commitment to Qatar. Others with an interest in teaching in Doha did not have a good disciplinary fit with the School of Foreign Service. And others had family or personal commitments that precluded time in Doha. At the same time, it became clear that faculty with a long-term commitment to the campus were needed, both to ensure continuity with the curriculum and to build rapport with students and the wider local environment. To recruit a stable pool of faculty with a long-term investment in the campus, therefore, we needed to conduct faculty recruitment much like we do on main campus back in DC, through international searches staffed by senior faculty. To ensure that the faculty identified and recruited were of the same caliber as main campus, it has become the practice to include at least one, if not two, senior main campus faculty on each search. Also, it was decided that the university provost, not the local dean, who would issue a faculty member appointment letter. So with the creation of a faculty with long-term commitment, there needed to be a system for evaluating and promoting these faculty to assure academic freedom. Initially, it was suggested to make the Qatar faculty eligible for tenure from main campus, but that was not possible for many reasons. Members of the main campus professoriate opposed granting tenure to Qatar faculty. Qatari labor law prohibited the kind of permanent employment that comes with tenure. And some departments on main campus, not least for cost reasons, balked at the idea of integrating tenured Qatar professors into main campus departments, should the Qatar campus ever be terminated. Therefore, Georgetown had to create a new faculty framework that outlined the process and criteria for advancement to something we call senior core status, which granted tenure-like status to the faculty, although it's a perpetual set of 3-year appointments. Also, with global searches and competitive conditions and research support, this has been critical in attracting and keeping current globally competitive faculty. Any changes to the GUQ curriculum requires close coordination with the Hilltop, as we call it, in DC. When GUQ decided to bring the international history major to Doha, it had to work with the SFS deans to ensure that it was structured and delivered in the same way. For the spring 18 semester, Georgetown University Qatar has 247 students, 183 female, 64 male, 112 Qatari, 135 non-Qatari, and 44 different nationalities are represented. From the beginning, we aim to recruit as diverse a student body as possible, but this is to include not only a balance of Qatari and non-Qatari students, but also a diversity of socioeconomic and geographic backgrounds. Achieving such diversity has been challenging, in part because of financial constraints faced by many qualified applicants. While the Qatar Foundation has attempted to assist students in addressing financial need, including with a program providing interest-free loans, GUQ has for much of its existence faced constraints in providing its own financial support to deserving students. Our recruitment efforts have been affected by the country's visa policies and its reluctance to allow citizens from certain countries to enter Qatar. And recruitment efforts have also been affected by geopolitical conditions within the Gulf and in MENA, especially recently. To recruit qualified students, we have to assure that the academic and co-curricular experience at the international campus is as close as possible to that of the home campus. While there will necessarily be some differences given the logistical, legal, and cultural context of the Qatar campus, students expect that their experience has the same value and that their degree has the same value after graduation, generally on par with the home campus. The university decided decided how far to go in reproducing this experience. Related to this was a conversation about whether or not GUQ would offer students a traditional residential campus. Over time, we learned that the relatively small size of the GUQ body, less than 300 students, had provided us some constraints in terms of what we could offer in terms of sports teams, student clubs, etc. Student housing is provided by the host country in a shared arrangement with all the schools. And while international students live in the residence halls, Qatari students and non-Qatari students who reside in Qatar almost always live at home, all of which affects the degree to which GUQ students bond and forge a community identity. Finally, when GUQ adopted and follows the human resources, student affairs, financial, budgetary, and academic policies of the main campus, it found that it could not rely completely on the relevant offices in Washington to handle the day-to-day administration of those issues. Physical distance, differences in time zones, location-specific legal, human resources, and financial circumstances meant that GUQ has created its own administrative structures. So the campus over time has brought on board new personnel with responsibility for all of these issues. And with that, I will stop there. I know we wanted to leave some time for Q&A. I've really drilled down in the weeds here after having some general framework, so I hope this is helpful to you. Thank you.